Good morning and welcome to What's New with Mike and Jeff. Your Saturday morning hobby hangout coming to you live or undead from the interwebs. It's Halloween time. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is the man in the sky, Jeff.
Hey.
I got it. What was WKRP?
Yeah.
What did they call the guy that was in the helicopter all the time?
You got that Johnny, what is it? Was it Johnny Fever?
Rocket.
No, Johnny Fever.
Johnny Fever. Good morning, Joe. What didn't they do, like coming to you live from the sky? Like, wasn't there like when they had the helicopter out because they dropped all the turkeys out?
I know. I haven't thought about that show in forever.
Oh, I love that show. I
did too. But it was like I was in high school when
WKRP, and then you take in some MASH and some Laverne and Shirley, and what a great, just different type of comedy. And, like that turkey drop episode was always the best.
There's a T-shirt that I keep coming across that I've actually thought about picking up because it's basically an advertisement for WKRP's first annual Thanksgiving turkey drop. The favorite line, that whole show was put together by the one line, "God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly."
Well, it's that time of the year, so it is.
Yeah.
Whether somebody flipped the switch, turned the heater off, as someone turned, and now we're back to normal temperatures in Arizona. We don't have seasons. We have hot, not as hot. We're in the not as hot stage.
We got a bit of a cold front, so it's like last night it dropped down to 41 degrees. But our high today is supposed to be lower 70s. Last week was in the high 60s, low 70s most of the time. And then next week we're supposed to be back up in the 80s for a short period of time. So
yeah, we're kind of 70s today, like high as 73 today or something like that. Yesterday it was all like cloudy and overcast. I had a little water hit the ground. I don't want to call it rain because it really wasn't rain. It was just some water hit the ground and made mud. We had mud.
You had moisture.
But yeah, times. So now it's kind of cool because now I can actually go outside. Good morning. How are you, buddy?
Well, I am glad to hear it.
Yeah. So life is good. I brought my glasses today, so I can actually read.
Morning, Jake.
I can actually read comments today.
So you're not going to be doing the head bomb.
I'm not going to be going, what does that say? So
Jeff is. I'm not wearing layers. I just got a different. I got a shirt with a collar on today.
Well, we're not used to you having a collar.
Yeah, I got with a lovely Corsair, my other Corsair shirt.
Yeah. So
now I've got 3 new bowling shirts that I ordered. I ordered these shirts almost just before, right when I started looking at buying a car, and I've just started picking them. I just got them all in.
Well, eventually you'll get that car situated.
Well, we'll find out today. I've got my Jolly Roger Corsair shirt. I've got this Corsair shirt, which is not as bright or as wild, and then I've got my Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet bowling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll wear that next week. So.
Love those prints. Printed shirts are cool. So I just have a boring old Misfits shirt on that I got from Five Below.
Misfits shirt's never boring, man.
Yeah, got it from Five Below. Got it for $5 because I'm cheap. Oh boy. Full looks like an overshirt. Okay.
Absolutely. Me wearing a collar is like I'm ready to go.
He's ready for his interview.
Yes, pretty much.
So I have some interesting news.
Oh no.
Yeah, interesting news.
Last week's interesting news was interesting.
We should revisit last week's interesting news because I've had an epiphany about that.
Oh no. I'd rather not, but if you must, you must.
Oh, well, we should because I felt kind of weird about that conversation. Dr. Smith. Yeah, he'll check you out, Jake. There's a very, very, very strong possibility, like so strong that I had to go get my passport photo taken yesterday, and I have to get a passport that I'm going to Germany next year.
Germany. Oh, that's not what I don't mind talking about that. The other topic, I was
like, he'll make you sick. Yeah. So, Gamelin Games, is growing as a company, and they're just got a lot going on. They, with the IPs that they've collected and just game products coming out. And it looks like Essen is becoming more of a presence for them. Plus, one of their original employees has decided to leave. He's moving on to a different game company, and it's just opened up this little opportunity. It's like Mike already goes to Gen Con with us every year. Like I've done 2 years. I'll be doing a third year next year. So Mike's gotten to know me as a worker, as a person. We don't know each other. Mike in the country. Yes, I am. I don't know if going to Germany is the right place I'd want to go to flee the country, but
Germany's awesome.
I think I'd think of a more tropical place that might be more soothing for me as a place to go with coconuts and bananas. I don't think Germany has that stuff. But yeah, so there's an opportunity. So yesterday I went down and got my passport photo done. Got the application, made my appointment with the city because it's all done. I didn't know that. Have you ever gotten a passport?
Yeah, I run mine just expired like a few months ago.
Okay. I didn't know you literally have to give them your birth certificate to send to the government, and they send you the birth certificate. I'm like, that's an uncomfortable feel. Like, it's my birth certificate. I don't like this idea of they can't get my mail straight half the time. I don't know if I trust them enough with my birth certificate. But Jason's like, just relax. It'll be fine. You'll get your birth certificate back. I'm like, So anyways, I'm going through the process of being approved to leave the country. Am I being approved? What am I?
Well, you're applying. You're applying for a passport, and they just got to go through some preliminary stuff, which you'll have no issues whatsoever, and they'll issue a passport.
So the government is giving me permission to leave the country. I feel
it's not our government that's actually saying, hey, you have to do this. It's where you're going to.
They want to make sure I'm not well, that's why I think I might not get approved. I'll be like, no.
Well, you won't if they've read any of my letters or the new one I'm going to write. No, that's not true. You'll be fine.
I'm not worried about it's just funny. It's like when I got married, I had to get permission from the government. I had to get a license to get married. And so I was like, why do I need permission from the government to do this stuff?
Because it's not a good idea if cousins marry.
I don't I'm going to come back. I mean, I might stick around in Germany. So it's an opportunity. It's not going to be like a Gen Con trip. It will be I actually am going to be working the booth more. Like at Gen Con, I set up the booth and I break down the booth. In between those two moments, I do whatever the hell I want. Like I just go shopping, I go hang out with people. I'm not working the booth. I show up and do stuff occasionally, but for the most part, I'm out playing. My work is set up, breakdown. Essen will be different. Essen will be.
You're going to have a ball.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there'll be some work, but I think the hardest.
Yeah, but it's traveling Germany. It's just an experience, man. You'll have a great time. Overall, you'll have a great time. And actually, working the booth, shows don't become a burden until you work them for 17 years nonstop.
Well, and I'll be in Germany, so it's kind of cool because, hey, AT.
Hey, miss, how you doing, buddy?
Because I've never been there, so it'll be fun. It'll just be a new culture. It'll be a new, completely different culture. I know nothing about German culture, modern culture. I know about past culture, but I don't know about modern culture in Germany.
You'll find out that yes, there is a cultural difference, but we're all gamers. And regardless of the language we speak or the culture we live in, we're still gamers.
We have a common interest, a common purpose of rolling dice and keeping little people alive in our imaginary world.
Just learn to say, I have a lot of gray shame, or I have a closet of shame in German, and all the Germans will go,
uh-huh. Yeah. So anyways, that's something new and exciting kind of going on in my life right now. So it's not going to be till next year, but you got to go through this process. I think it's 6 to 8 weeks to get your passport.
Takes a while.
So I just want to get it done so that way, because I've taken on another commission job for Gamelin. And I just want to make sure I have that done. So when I go down to deliver the commission job, I can say passport's in the mail, and just kind of strengthen that relationship between us, and just get to know Mike a little bit more, or Michael. He likes Michael.
I have a call coming in from my daughter. I have to take it. Hang on a minute. You continue talking.
All right. But outside of that, the only other thing going on in the day-to-day life is just trying to keep our desk clean. So hopefully everybody saw the new channel, I think is what we call them on Discords. They got like the little subsections.
I'm back.
Oh, so Jeff put up a new channel on Discord so we can show off our hobby space, and people can kind of we can all kind of see how our minds operate as hobbyists, because some of us like a very clean, tidy hobby space. Others, as you're going to see in the photos, are a complete wreck.
Well, I've incorporated the hobby space pics in with the regular pics we do today.
All right.
So they'll come in towards the end. Just before we show you yours and my hobby projects, we'll do the photos that are in the my space area.
Perfect.
And morning, Tim. And I know what the call is about. My daughter came out of her apartment today, saw that my truck was missing, and thought that I'd run off.
Well, that would be a legitimate. Yeah, it's gone.
Like, where are you at? And the way my health is, she's like, "Is Dad dead? Did he run off, or did he just take off and say the heck with it?" So,
I also had another thing happen in my life.
what was that?
Well, we all have heard about these attic finds. Like you hear about it in cars all the time.
Sure.
You hear about barn finds. Somebody goes into a barn and they find an old classic car that's just been sitting in a dilapidated barn, and turns out to be the car owned by somebody famous, or it was a one-time prototype, or it was just some old, like a Barracuda or a Roadrunner, or just some crazy old car. And
anyone that's seen American Pickers.
Yeah, exactly. American Pickers.
Yep.
But we also hear these in the gaming world. Like someone goes to a garage sale, or someone's selling like people used to come to the store with a car trunk full of stuff and go, "Hey, my friend who was a gamer passed away, and this is all their stuff." And turns out you got like Warhammer Quest and Rogue Trader stuff and old first edition like you hear the stories.
I have that experience every time I clean my space.
Well, and it is a reality when you think about your collection. So when you think about all of your stuff, it's like, to you, this stuff is valuable. It has a certain value. Some of it actually has value in certain circles. Out of production stuff usually has some values. But your family is just going to sell it all off on eBay in a big collection of stuff, and not really know when someone's going to find that collection of stuff that you did. And that happened to me. I stumbled across a collection. I collect stamps. I like little pieces of paper, and I like what they represent. There's a whole world of why I like stamps. But mostly it's just a passion. I like the process of stamps, how I can put a little piece of paper on an envelope and send something to you in the mail. Like that to me is just kind of cool. What that package has to go through to get to you. It's just kind of cool. Anywho, I was on eBay doing my eBay thing, just kind of putzing around, and I saw this collection of stamps on eBay. It was like a buy it now for $46 and some change. I'm like, started looking through it, and I'm like, there were some stamps I wanted to fill some holes in my collection. I have lots of holes in my collection of stamps. And there was a lot of new stamps that we call them mint never hinged stamps. So it basically means it's a stamp that's never been hinged into a stamp album. It is pristine. It is perfectly like a brand new stamp. You could actually still use it as postage if you wanted to, based on how old the stamp is. I was like, all right, well, there was enough mint never hinged stamps in the collection. Plus there were some stamps to fill holes in my collection that I was like, this is cool. I'll buy it for 46 something. It was like $20 and some change to ship it because it came in a big box.
Yep.
Well, it arrived and I started going through it and I'm like, holy shit, this guy didn't know, or whoever, this person didn't know what they were selling. There were like stamps in America started getting done around 1840 something, and there were some old stamps from like early 1800s in this collection. There were some old hard to find stamps that are worth a couple $100 a piece.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the collection of, it wasn't just stamps that were mint and never hinged, it was sheets of stamps that were from like the early 1900s that were just still connected, like the perforations, they weren't ripped off the sheet, they're still on the sheets. I'm like, just the raw postage alone for the value of these new stamps was well over the cost of what I paid for the collection. But
Wow.
then you add in like, there's the blue Benjamin Franklins, there's the buff Benjamin Franklin, there's an Andrew Jackson's called the Blackjack. It's kind of a harder to find stamp in there. I was just like, oh, I just juuling, and just, but now comes the sorting through. So based on the collection, so like one of the fun things about buying someone else's stamp collection is trying to figure out who the person was through their stamps. Like, how did they take care of their stamps, and what did they do with their stamps, and just all of that kind of stuff. And the album is in amazing shape, but at some point, this album was probably put in an attic and forgotten about. Like, I think this whole collection, like the new stamps that are still on sheets, looks like he had like just a box of stamps that he was a collector, but he used a lot of postage and he was buying sheets and just pulling stamps off because he liked stamps, and he had tons of them just on sheets. And I'm just like, so spent a couple of days just kind of sorting through the collection of stamps. But it was like one of those treasure trove things. Like, you hear about these moments, but you don't have them very often in your life. And I just happened to have one in my life. So I thought it was kind of cool. And it made me think, one day somebody's going to get the same in return, because my wife, when I die, is probably just going to throw all my stuff out on the sidewalk and say, free to a good home. And people are going to come by and be, oh my gosh, this is 5th edition Warhammer 40K army, or this is blah, 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 like whatever's retro-y popular at that time.
Well, Andy's reaction to your unfortunate passing is one of the reasons why, if you happen to pass before I do, which the odds are against, I'm coming to your funeral in a U-Haul.
You're just going to pull up in a big U-Haul?
I'll go, bestie, I'll take care of this for
you. Just take it all away, and she'll just fill it with craft stuff. Or I think my hobby room will turn into a cat room. Like, she'll take all the furniture out and it will just become like cat trees and holes in the wall and all that kind of stuff like that. Is why you bid on storage lockers. Yeah, Storage Wars was a thing. Yeah, that's very true. I don't know if I want to bid on storage lockers. I had enough crap in my life.
Well, yeah, it's a gamble. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, well, yeah. And a lot of those people that did this, they have like thrift stores, or they have boutique stores where they say, good morning, David, how are you? But yeah, so it was just a neat little find. No,
that's always cool.
This collection's gonna fill a lot of holes. It's not something like, I'm not selling the stuff. Like, that's not why I bought it. I bought it to fill holes in my collection, which I'm excited about. But it's like, buyer beware, know what you have before you sell it. This person didn't know what they probably just pulled it out of an attic and said, $50, take it. They didn't do any research.
I just want it gone.
Yeah, well, they probably saw the condition of the album, because it's all beat up and like the pages are yellowed, and like a lot of people just saw the price on the stamps. Oh, these are 3-cent stamps. They're not worth anything. Like,
unless you're afflicted by the collecting gene, you don't get the passion and the excitement that goes into stuff like that. And because I am in no way, shape, or form interested in collecting stamps, but it's the same as collecting miniatures. You have this collection, you want to fill this, you want to do that. It's like the day back when I was a big comic collector and I walked into a thrift store in my little tiny podunk town, had a little thrift store. And I literally walked in and found I found Wolverine's first appearance for 10 cents.
Yeah.
I think it was 118. With the Incredible, he was fighting with the Incredible Hulk, and I got it for a dime.
Yeah.
And I was like, woo! But they didn't have any idea what they had.
Yeah, so sometimes it's just you get those moments in your life. Some people are blessed and they have them every weekend somehow.
I have them every morning or every time I clean. I was cleaning the studio, getting all the paints in place, and I kept going. Oh, I forgot I had this. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, look, I have every one of the White Wolves. Oh, I have every Games Day model. Just stuff I forgot that I had.
Joe's saying 181.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, it's a number.
I have it.
Yeah,
I'm less concerned because I don't collect for the collectability of the price.
Right.
I worry about, oh, look, first appearance of Wolverine. He's fighting the Hulk.
It fills a hole in your collection.
I could care less what number it is.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I feel. Like I care that I care what these stamps represent, because postage.
Sure.
You never know what that stamp was attached to, and you never know what it was sending. Good news, bad news, non-news, but it's just the old internet, basically, pre-internet. But I'm not going to resell them. I'm not going to go try to make money off it. These are to plug holes in a collection. 1800 stamps from the 1800s are really hard to find in every country. UK, Canada, United States. Those are the primary three that I collect. And those old stamps are hard to find. When you come across some of the key ones that you're looking for, you're like, yes. So, hey.
That feeling I know quite well. I had a similar experience, but through something else this week.
What's that?
I actually managed to finish this. I'm going to show a picture.
Whoa, we're waiting. We're both kind of looking around because
I have to look around my camera. I finished this.
Look at that. You finished your racks.
Well, I finished the caps.
Oh, you did the caps. There you
These
go.
are all my speed paints.
Oh, yes, David. I'm a stamper. I collect a very casual stamp collector. I'm not a hoarder though. I don't want to hoard stamps. I target stamps.
You might want to reconsider that.
I know.
How many Hot Wheels you got?
1,250.
You're an organized hoarder, but you are a hoarder.
Yeah.
Anyway,
David, you do learn new things every day.
Absolutely. Well, that's why the show's called "What's New with Mike and Jeff." You just discovered something new about Mike.
There you go. Hey, I love the caps, dude.
They help a lot. Now I can identify what they look like and what colors I want. And oh my, yeah, stamp time. No, if it was called "Welcome to Stamp Time," it'd be Jeff's nap time at the end. I'd be like,
he was falling asleep during my story. Did you not see him drifting off?
Yeah, I was like, yes. I get you're excited and I respect that, but it's like, okay.
It'd be stamp and nap time with Mike and Jeff.
There you go. And the same is true. There's things I get excited about that you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, like these caps, I got these things done, and I have to say my review of the speed paints, because I've used most of them when I was doing the slap chop on the dungeon saga stuff. I am in love with speed paints. They are fantastic.
I've been feeling the same way. Like, I'm going to take this commission job I got for Gamelin, and all the foundation colors are going to be done with speed paints. Like, all the base colors will be done with speed paints, and then I'll just go in and just highlight and just blend over, glaze over, just brighten the colors up, because a lot of the speed paints are kind of dark and dull. You kind of did you notice like kind of an in between? Like, you got some that are like they go on super clean, super smooth, really dark, and then you got some that are very thin and kind of just do more like a wash behavior
or a glaze. Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I didn't airbrush the caps, to get a nice smooth coat, because I wanted to see how they brushed on.
Yeah.
There's some that brush on when they dry, they are smooth as glass. They are actually absolutely great. Others are splotchy. Others are, you have your highlights and they're just more of a glaze than a paint.
Yep.
And the other thing is that when I noticed because I slap chopped all of them, so I base coat everything in black, dry brush it with a nice heavy dry brush of gray, and then a light dry brush of white. I noticed that on some of the speed paints, I had to go back over and actually just paint them white.
Mm-hmm.
And then that made the speed paint pop a bit more. But they're fantastic. I have zero regrets on buying them.
See a session in the future on how to apply speed paint properly. I like them, but have been having mixed results. Yeah. And I think what we were just talking about is probably why you're having mixed results. Some of them go on splotchy and some of them go on smooth, and that's more of an inconsistency, I think, with the paint line itself.
Well, there are some techniques that and I'm not fantastic at them, but when you're painting smooth surfaces with speed paints or contrast paints, you've got to make sure that you take that extra effort to get that on evenly.
Yeah,
because they will look splotchy, or they will look, various shades, and that's where the technique comes. I got lucky. Everything I did was a very highly textured model, so it just they went on real quick.
But that's why painting the caps is so cool, because you've got so many flat surfaces, plus you got the ridge going around the cap, so you actually have some textured surfaces as well. So you can kind of see on like this particular paint, the cap is very splotchy, but the ridge surface is very clean, because it's like the paint was pulled to the creases and away from the flat surface.
Well, one of the things I started doing on the caps was when I was painting the caps, I would load up my brush, and then I'd do the bottom ring. I just did the very top. I didn't do the sides.
Right.
That way I could open them and not wear out the paint that's on them. And then literally after I put a ring around the base of the top of the cap, I would then take a paper towel and kind of roll my brush in it to pull the excess off. And then whatever puddled in that ring, I would pull up the cap, and to try to get a little better control over it. That's really what it boils down to, is on rough surfaces or textured surfaces, they go on. There's really not a lot of technique. You just got to make sure you don't get them on too heavy. Smooth, flat surfaces is where you got to work at a bit. And in some cases, you've got to, in a couple cases, I had to go back, kind of clean off what I'd painted, and then go back through and actually give it a heavier coat of white and get rid of the slap chop effect. There's a few, like, for example, on the, I like their peachy flesh versus any of the contract flushes I've used.
Yeah.
Because if I paint that nice and white, the peachy flesh, although when you put it on, looks hideous, when it dries, it's a really nice, a nice quick flesh tone.
Yeah, and it actually has kind of a red, because it's peachy. It's got a little bit of red tint to make it look like the flesh is alive.
Right. Right. When you first put it on, it looks really pink.
Yeah. But then once it dries and settles, it starts toning down a little bit, and it's good stuff. And I really like the speed paints, but I don't like them. I don't like the slap. That's all you're going to use. I like going through and doing some painting over. I know what your project was different. Yep. And even though I think you still painted on top of some of those things, like a flame effect.
Couldn't help myself.
Yeah, you had to. Like a flame effect has to be highlighted. Yeah. But it's a very good tool in the toolbox.
Yeah.
And then when you start looking at price and the fact that it's in a dropper bottle the way it's supposed to be,
wait a minute, 30 minutes into show, Mike brings dropper bottles back.
And believe it or not, I actually think the paint pots for the contrast paints are perfect for contrast paints, because you just want to dip and go. Yeah. But I still got to bring up the dropper bottles.
Yeah. No, I'm
time in, as there was an air bubble in that burst. That's weird.
Yeah.
I get, well, are you mixing the contrast paint with water? Because I haven't had bubbles. Like I haven't had.
I didn't when I was doing the Dungeon Saga. I didn't thin them at all. I never used any kind of a thinner.
You just went straight.
He's not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. depending on what primers you're using, you can get a little bit of a reaction between some of the speed paints and the primer, where that will actually it won't sit on the primer, it won't cling to the primer,
Right. That's what I
and
was.
you've got to kind of work it back in.
And it's kind of weird because I've had it happen a few times where I paint the model and everything looks like, I'll just say red, but then once it dries, I'll see like a speck of white here and there. And I think what it is, it's the surface tension. Like there's maybe some grease from your hands, or maybe there's something on the model itself. That's why sometimes you just put down your base coat and then you might have to go back over it if you start seeing any of those things. But yes, if that's what you're talking about, but it's not a bubble, I don't think. I think it's just something on the model. There's a surface tension issue that it will cause. But when you put it on, you're like, that's all red. And then you come back the next day and you go, where'd that speck of white come from? And it's kind of a weird little speck. And I think it's probably something, I think it's more to do with the surface tension because speed paint, and I'm sure you might have this with contrast as well. And some of the
other. I've had that happen with contrast too.
When the paint, the whole idea with the paint is to move off the surface. So there's whatever they're doing, whatever witchcraft they're using. I want to use Halloween terms. So witchcraft. They're using in the paint to cause that behavior. Maybe it's sliding over whatever's on the surface of the paint, and that's why you're getting the little speck. That's okay. Just go back over it again the second time once it dries, but don't beat yourself up. If that's the only problem you're having, that's not a problem. I think that's just the behavior of the paint.
Well, the other way, David, is to just kind of when you're actually brushing it on, kind of you do your initial pass through, and then basically again put a little bit more, load your brush up a little bit more, not quite as heavy, maybe dab off the excess on a paper towel, and then go back over it again and kind of hit it. And that'll actually, because what you're getting is you'll have an area of texture where the primer and there's a reaction between the paint and the primer, and it leaves a gap, but yet it's like a bubble because the surface tension holds it sealed at the top. But actually, where the paint and the model meet, it's repelling the paint a bit. And then when it dries, your surface tension becomes less, and that opens up and reveals your primer. So just kind of go back through it a second time with a little bit less on your brush, and that will actually start to eliminate that. I had the same problem on a lot of the slap chop stuff I did when I first started doing it, because I was moving quickly, and I got to slow down a bit. So
yeah, and you just really want to make sure you're. But the only way I could articulate it is I think there's, like you said, there's tension, like
but in essence, it's not a bubble. It's just where you covered it, and then there was a reaction between the paint and the primer. But rather than spreading this way, it just kind of separated from the surface.
Yeah. And then when it all dries, it pulls away and it leaves that little speck. And I've had it happen. It's not. That's why I do a base coat, put the model aside, go back the next day, clean it all up,
and hit it again.
And a lot of it, depending on where it is, it's like sometimes it's not even an issue because that's going to be a spot where I'm going to paint. Like I'm going over that with a paint or something else. So I just have to look at what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, very cool. We solved the mystery.
But I'm sold on speed paints.
Yeah,
they're and also now having the caps done, because in the bottle it's really hard to tell the color and
their colors on the bottles themselves aren't like.
Well, I don't think any paint gives you a proper representation in that respect.
Yeah, and I understand why they did the little cube, because they're trying to show like shadow effects on it, like that's how the paint's going to behave. But it's hard on any paints to get a good.
Yep.
But no, love it. And now I'm just I'm more curious how the Fanatic paints.
Fanatic, yeah.
What they're calling their new paint line. Experience has our combined experience. We're smart. Now I'm kind of curious because I just saw something post up that they're expanding that line already. Like they did a whole bunch of more browns.
Probably.
So I guess they're kind of pushing the triad concept a little bit further and trying to incorporate more.
Yeah. I haven't heard that yet, but it makes total sense. I just bought the entire range and now they're expanding it. That's how it works. And to make it just truly normal for me, they're going to also slash their prices. So
50% off. And now,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm complaining. I got them at a discount anyway.
I know, but
But
that's
I'm
getting
getting ready to dive into the contract or into the Fanatic range this week when I start working on the other projects I'm trying to get caught up on. I mean, I've been working on all of them as I've progressed, because I usually rotate through stuff day to day. And the Dungeon Saga, because it was Slap Chop, I could get much more farther on it in a short amount of time. But I'll be digging into the Fanatic range itself, and so far I'm using some of the colors already, but I'm going to be doing a real deep dive into it over the next couple of weeks.
Well, and I'm kind of curious. I would like to how does the Fanatic paint marry up with the speed paints? Like, are colors matching pretty good? Or it would just be interesting to kind of hear some of those thoughts. I understand people have talked about the Fanatic paints, and yes, for an army painter line, it's a much improved paint line and all that good stuff. But I don't think I've seen anyone or heard anyone talk about how they marry up with speed paints. So if you do a slap chop situation, get some base colors down, because that's really what I like about slap chop the most. Is I can slap on a bunch of colors. It goes on super thin because of the way the paint's designed. And I can kind of say that fits my color palette. To me, those colors are appealing to my eyes. And if I like the color combination, then because sometimes you've done this too, where you have a client go, I want it painted like this, and you're like, that's going to look like crap. And they're like, that's what I want. And then you paint one up, you go, here you go. And they're like, oh, that looks like crap. Told you. And that's where I think speed paint comes in really handy.
Yeah.
Because you can take one of those models, you can take a model and you can slap down some colors real quickly and you can go, yeah, that works. But it'll be nice to see, all right, so now if I take the Fanatic line and I say, I got blue cobalt or pinky sky, pink peach, whatever, and I use the actual Fanatic paint over it, what are my shades differences and how does it behave on top of it? It'll be fun to know, because that could be actually a good combination of the two.
I'm actually having that not with speed paints, but with contrast and Citadel paints.
Yeah,
because the Stormcast stuff I'm doing, which are the Astro Templars, I'm base coating them in a contrast, some kind of purple contrast is their base color, and then I'm taking Screamer Pink over the top of that and doing all the highlights on top of the contrast. And they match up really, really well. So that's where I'm going to go when I start digging into using the speed paints and the Fanatic paints to see how well they mix up. I do know already, because I've used contrast on some of the Fanatics, the base ones like flesh washes and stuff because I use one of the things I use Gilliman flesh for is more of like a wash over a normal flesh tone.
Right.
So the other thing that I'd forgotten about that I used to use constantly are the strong tones and heavy tones from Army Painter.
Oh yeah, love those.
Yeah, so those are going to be good too.
So. Dave says I started using contrast speed paint over lighter colors like light blue instead of just the white undercoat, and that is another technique that some people have started doing. I've noticed it with Ninjon. Priming with dark blues and reds. Goobertown, is it Goobertown? Brent? Goobertown, something like that. Using like pinks and stuff for like certain colors, like undertones. But yeah, using speed paint under that's going to change the whole Goobertown. Yeah, that's it. That will change the whole behavior. It's no different than painting a model, priming a model black and painting it how it has a darker feel, and priming a model white and painting over it and it has a brighter feel. What you put underneath the color, if Mark was here, Mark would be able to answer this question. Modular painting for military vehicles. Long time ago when I first started watching Andy's Hobby Headquarters, how he would do modular, like different colors, and then he would paint the green over it, and it just changed the look of the base colors so much.
Yep.
Yeah. Good way to experiment, David. Keep it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we go ahead and jump into the photo barrage? Is it a barrage today, or is it just?
There's a lot.
Okay, it is a barrage. We're gonna attack you with photos.
Not as many as we've had in the past. But
like I've got my microphone in front of my monitor, and I got my camera in front of the monitor, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, where is it?
yeah, I had to relocate my camera based on my new racks. And I'm really happy with my setup now.
Very cool.
I've got some minor changes I want to make to it, and then I still got to move into the bigger room, which I haven't got done yet, but I will. But no, this is something that, according to our Discord, is Arizona Sith Lord, but this is actually Dave Hummel, I believe.
Yes, very cool.
We showed this model last week,
right?
And this is the overall display he has for it.
I love it. Look at those lights. I'm assuming, I don't know if that's lights or painted. The flames, like, I know that's hard.
I think that's our bulbs.
Okay.
Like, the bulb, but I just like that. It's the way it's set up. So
yeah, that's awesome. Look at that.
And then here's where he has it displayed.
I'm assuming those are Black Library books and
just other. Well, he being in the industry, you just kind of collect memorabilia along the way, and a lot of that's from all that good stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
And I believe this is some of this heresy stuff.
Look at that. That's it's a dread. I forget the name of the dread.
Yeah, I mean, I call it big ass dreadnought.
Yeah. Big ass dreadnought with big claws to reach in and touch you with. Yeah, look at that. Very cool. Leviathan. There we go. Some little tanks, little buster tanks.
Yep.
They look like, well, if it was Empire, those would just be cannons, but little buster tanks.
Yeah, there's
awesome. Neat stuff. Oh, look at that. Yeah. The red and the bone white just blend so nicely together.
Pops.
Reaper weapon platforms. Look at Jake dropping the knowledge.
He
might even know this stuff.
Say what you want to about Jake, but I don't think there's been ever a game or something that hasn't crossed their show or this one when he's in the chat that he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah, it might be an occupational hazard thing.
I forget your name sometimes, and I'm constantly forgetting mine.
That's awesome. Look at that. Just such nice stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if he was here, we would ask about the bases. That's like you.
My point exactly, Jake. My point exactly.
So I don't know if he's gonna like go through and do something different with the base, or if he's just gonna go with the flat black, which is
probably. I have to say, Tuesday night's build paint play was phenomenal. They had my old boss and good friend John Matthews on.
Oh,
the best part was watching Dave try to keep. Of course, we know that Jake is talkative.
No, Jake. No.
John, I believe John is he who taught Jake how to be talkative because John's worse. And so watching Dave trying to keep the show on course was, besides hearing John and hearing some of his stories, I've heard most of his stories. Hearing John's stories about how he got in the industry and his history in the industry, and the people that know John, love John. You can't help but love the man. He's a great guy. It was just a really good show. But the best part was just looking up in the corner and seeing Dave trying to keep them coasting in the right direction to keep the show moving was just awesome. It was a great show. If you haven't watched it, I've shared it onto my Facebook page. If you have a chance to watch it, John Matthews is a guy that's been doing this for a long time, and
Dave's not like super aggressive, talkative wise. Like he's very reserved and very quiet and humble. Like he's not,
but he's also very scripted.
Yeah, and that's what's going to create the challenge for him. It's like, I want to do it like we want to move in this direction. And like,
Jake is correct. It wasn't as nuts as the show with Ash and Jake because I didn't see all that show. I got home late. So
Ash is like in his videos, he comes off kind of rehearsed and scripted, like he's got his talking points, but I could see him being very chatty. Just because.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, he just has a lot of story. Like I can just like with his writing and his game experience and all of his history as well. God, could you imagine a panel of you guys, like Jake and John and like, just get this panel and just kind of watch it melt into this.
Dave's head would explode.
No, I'm thinking like a live panel at like a con, like get an auditorium and go here, like come just hear the history of gaming through the eyes and experiences of the people. Because I've talked about this before. We give credit to a lot of the big names, the that have created games, Gavin and all like those big names. But it's all the other people that made the industry.
Right.
Yeah, their names are on the Adepticon. Okay. Their names are on the books and they're the front men. They're the face of certain games and certain books. And I get all that, but it's all the other people, all the people in the back that had to, deal with the troubles of orders coming in wrong or getting like just the stories that could be told about how the industry actually got built.
But my point is, if you had that panel, you need a moderator, and if that moderator was Dave, Dave's head would explode.
We would just see goo start running out his ear as his mind.
Yeah, you would just start. You would go to like a seizure after a while, or we'd see a side of Dave none of us seen before. He just blows up and just.
No, I don't want to see that side of Dave. I never want to see that side of Dave. Like that's not a side of Dave I ever want to see. But I think it would probably be one of the most fascinating panels ever, just to try to keep up with the stories, because a lot of those stories are going to link together. Of like, because like everybody worked at different parts of GW, but like those experiences happened at the same time. Like something tragic, like something big happened, or something big got released, and how everybody else had to cope with it.
But the problem with that, and the part you're not thinking about, is none of that will be conveyed to the audience because they will be talking over each other.
I know. That's the fun part. We got to dissect it and try to figure out who's.
No, Dave does not have a mean bone in his body.
Yeah, I would never want to see that.
No. So, anyway, on to the show.
On. I'm sorry. We just, again, this is what that's exactly how
you're freaking me out. You're freaking me out, Mike, because I'm trying to keep you on task now, and I'm not used to it.
I'm gonna stop.
I have mean bones in my body, so I will tell you.
Shut up. All right, moving
on. STFU, man, we're moving forward.
I want to be at that panel and just watch it.
That'd be hilarious. That'd be a lot of fun.
I think it would be awesome. All right, moving on.
We're still on Mr. Hummel stuff.
Spiky bits, spiky arms, spiky hands.
Yep. I have never liked that model. I don't know why. I just have never.
It's kind of stocky, stumpy.
It's too busy.
Yeah. Well.
And yeah, just there's too much going on. So.
Oh, I love that one though.
Yeah, nice.
Nice white, like just the white tones. So much good stuff. Where is he? He's supposed to be here talking about his models. Yeah, so he is going to go through. It looks like you got some flocking on one, so he's just going through the stage.
Yeah, he I think not a lot of guys do their bases ahead of time. I don't do all of them. It just depends on what I'm going to have on the base to determine whether or not I'm going to actually do the base first.
More decorative bases kind of happen because you're painting either rocks or.
But for gaming purposes and stuff like that, most guys do the bases after they've got the model done. Then they go back and do the bases.
Yeah. Love those models, by the way.
Then here's some shots of everything.
Oh my god! That's his 40K army. That's not a heresy.
I think so. It looks like it.
Hard to say. Well, the drop pods kind of indicate.
Well, but also you got a couple of other vehicles here, so
it could be a mixture. Look at that; they're just all lined up, ready to go.
There we go.
I feel like I'm watching Lord of the Rings, but
March of the Plastic Soldiers.
Look at that. Love it. Just a massive collection. See, that's the joy right there. Like when you can put that on display and just show off. Like, look at this. I've spent I don't know how fast of a painter, but like let's just say he spent 3 years doing this army collecting. Like that's what the hobby's about. Look at my collection, and then my wife's going to throw it on eBay and sell it for $50.
And then we get to some more BattleTech stuff from Joe.
BattleTech's blowing up. Hey, there he is. We were just talking about you and your collection.
What timing? We just finished up showing all of Dave's stuff, and it goes.
We haven't talked about his hobby room yet, so you're just in.
Yeah, we haven't talked about his hobby space yet. But yeah, Joe's doing some more B-Tech, looking good.
Yep. He's got his army getting done, bases getting painted, loving it. Jenner.
He just had a picture of the name on the base. I don't know if he's showing off that he actually did freehand lettering, or what that is.
I love it.
I'm sure Joe will tell us here in a moment.
Well, and some people, like newer players, might not know what the model. So letting people know.
Yep, I agree.
This is my Jenner, and it's gonna destroy you.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, and Tim did some stuff where he did some bamboo modeling, that he had to make some bamboo stuff. Tim, if you're still on,
let us know what you're doing.
He had this picture up that ties into the next one, which is this one.
Yeah.
But I wasn't exactly sure what he meant by it.
Well, he's putting up some lights in his pool, and they're going to be like solar lights, and he redid some bamboo stuff to make it look a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So, very cool.
I think now from here, we jump into the painting spaces.
IDing the mechs because okay.
Anyway, but I think the next picks are going to be our spaces.
Oh my gosh! Look at this face.
So
David, we need to talk.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, a warning to anyone in Arizona.
Right,
hang on a minute. This is a serious PSA.
Okay.
Never accept an invitation to help Dave move.
No. Unless he's moving out of the country and he needs to thin down his collection.
I think his house leans to one side because of all the books.
Yeah. So many books.
That's an impressive collection. Now, this is a curtain.
That's a curtain?
That's a curtain.
Oh, I'm still unpacking from his. How long's that been?
And I'm going to prove that's a curtain here in a minute.
Curtain. I love that.
That's a curtain. That is not a shelf. It looks like a shelf.
Yeah.
Dave's trying to pull the wool over our eyes.
I get what you did there. That was a dad joke.
So, but look, a curtain.
And it goes into another glorious room.
Goes into another space.
Just shy of 2 years, and you're still unpacking.
So if Dave walks in and says, "Hey, can you guys help me move this weekend?" Don't be suckered in.
Yeah.
Because I'm serious. His house is either sinking into the earth from the weight of the books, or it's listing to whatever side of the house the books are on.
Now, Dave, is this a basement? Just I don't see windows, so I don't want to assume though. But is this a basement? Because it's all finished out, so it looks really nice. So going through the basement. Now we're in the hobby space, gaming space.
Yeah, now we're in the hobby gaming space.
Okay, it is a basement space. Looks like he can game, and then he can just turn his chair around, then he can paint, then he can go back to gaming, then he can turn his chair around, then he can paint.
I call this late Dave Taylor method.
Late Dave Taylor method.
Because if you look at Build Pay Play at David's area, it's just piles and piles and piles of stuff.
Yes. And if it all collapsed, he couldn't get out of his house, pretty much. And I heard house for 4 years and still haven't gone through all my. Man, I unbox right away and get all that stuff put away. And then I box it all back up and go, I don't have room for it.
The sad part is the boxes that Dave probably hasn't got into, Dave Hummel or is not the gaming boxes. This is clothes. These, I guarantee, were the first thing he unpacked.
Gotta get my books up.
Gotta get my stuff up.
Yes, that's important. Clothes,
Yeah. So.
I love it. Love the helmets. Very nice.
Really
I think
nice.
there's photos of the helmets as we go along. And
Now, it has triggered me because I literally want to book a flight, fly out there, and help him straighten.
Yeah.
It's a disorganized mess.
Kind of put things away. Like I posted my photo up on my desk, and I thought it was pretty bad, and then I saw his. I was like, "Oh boy, fair." Yeah, just and it happens.
More
Like,
minis.
look at that, all the way to the ceiling or the floor.
And a lot of people who are going to watch us stream are going to not feel so bad about their collections now.
No,
Dave has a lot.
Stack.
Good on him. A lot of it's painted.
Look at all the stacks of foam over there for transporting.
Awesome. It's fantastic.
Look at that. Yes. Very nice.
So Dave, which takes you longer, to write the list or to run around and gather up all the models that go in the list? They're everywhere. There's a ton of them. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, just like you, he goes exploring to find something, and then he finds things he's forgotten he's had. It's like, oh, and then we get distracted and we move on to something different.
I was clearing because one of the problems I have, I like to build things sometimes just to build it. So I have a lot of unpainted built stuff. So I was putting that into miniature cases, and as I'm putting that, looking for miniature cases to put this stuff in, I'm coming across models that I completely forgot about. Like, oh, look what I have. That's awesome.
And David answered saying it's harder for him to gather up the models. I can see that.
But it's great. It's fantastic. I jest and I pick on you, but it's actually fantastic. This is the place you can just probably feel so at home at.
It's just show off your space.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
That's all we're saying. Like, why not show it off? At least. Oh, he's got 8 projects going on his desk right now. That's insane.
Yeah. I have about the same number.
I have 1. Oh, look at that though. Just totes and foam and all kinds of stuff. A lot of
cool hobby stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's a blending of hobbies. And if I'm not mistaken, we were commenting back and forth on Discord, and I guess his wife uses the space with him as well, which is always good when you can get your wife involved, not necessarily in your hobby, but if you can, that's a plus. But
Dave was the only reason I created the channel of my paint space, because he had said something about, something we need to have one of those.
Yeah, so, show off your space.
Yeah, where you paint, where you do,
or even just your collection. Like if you got like a nice IKEA cabinet full of your stuff, take some snaps of it, throw it up there. We would, just see people's stuff, like be proud of it. Mine are all boxed up in banker boxes stacked up behind the door of my hobby room. Look at that.
Yeah,
nice stuff. It is a very glorious space, sir. Look at, there's all your projects, just taking it all up.
Just going through those, just finding stuff. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Got to find it all.
Well, it's awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. And you can see a better look at the helmets. Now, are those helmets, because I can also see the Nerf guns on the wall, which makes me a little, he's got his Nerf guns racked up on the wall. But are those helmets are those 3D printed and you did something with them, or are those like the collectible ones you can purchase at like Disneyland and other places like that? Helmets are cool. Like, I don't know what it is about a helmet. We feel so empowered when we put a helmet on. Even a motorcycle helmet. Like, when you put a motorcycle helmet on, I'm going to go ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, no.
No, you don't feel that?
I loathe putting my helmet on every single fucking time. Oh, excuse my language.
Uh-oh. Oh, now we're banned.
I know, we're banned.
Won't go.
I think John has credit of dropping the first F-bomb on Bill Paint Play this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because he said, I shouldn't cuss, but I'm gonna. And then whoop.
At least he warned it. I moved to a bigger house. Oh, lost my game room, and everything is stored under the stairs. Yeah, that's a bummer. Gotta have your game room. Anyways, looking cool. Loving it. Oh, look at that flag.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Fallout 4 collector. Oh, yes. And store-bought Star Wars clone helmets. Very cool.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Cool. Look at that. Look at those Nerf guns. Go back. Look at the Nerf gun. They're all like, the guns are all racked up on the wall. I'm assuming there's Nerf fights, but I would be nervous shooting a Nerf gun in your room.
my daughter and son-in-law, my youngest daughter and son-in-law, Zoe and Tim, used to have, I don't know if they still do, they used to have Nerf guns strategically placed around the house.
Right.
So when they had their little Nerf war, they could actually run around and grab a secret gun they had hidden. It was weird, but it's cool.
Yeah, but I would be nervous in that room. Like, I don't want to hit a model. So very cool. Love it.
And then whose neat and tidy space is this?
Hey, that's messy to me. Like, I got a pile of paint out. Like,
Yeah, whatever.
yeah, that's me finishing up my Dungeon Saga project. Star Trek and Star Wars toys. Only the pulse rifle is nerfed. Okay, so
There you go. There you go.
All right. I don't know much about all the toys, but there's my mess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's horrible.
That's
so messy. How do you do anything in that clean, tidy space?
I just, but you can see my camera set up for the show. So now you're seeing like behind the scenes, like I'm pulling the curtain back, the bookshelf curtain back, and now you can see the. Look at that. You see, thank you, David, for agreeing with me. A little mess, but that's my setup. That's where I paint at everybody. And all this is IKEA furniture.
There you go.
It's like nothing fancy, nothing special.
And then this is mine.
Look at that mess. You posted this right after you finished your racks, though, isn't it?
This was after I had the racks finished, and I took pictures of the racks, but then I actually had to reclaim all my table space.
Right. Because it was all full of Dungeon Saga.
And got that sorted out.
Studio scale. That is, well, now your stuff is all custom built.
Yeah, Cecil built both these tables for me.
Yeah.
Because I prefer a higher table than you can normally get.
Because that way you're up here.
I'm not hunched over a table. I can actually paint a little more level.
Which is a smart way of doing it. Like, that's actually smart.
Well, it saves if I have to hunch over a normal size table, like when I went back to work to Battlefront, they gave me a desk, and I literally went out and got blocks of about 6 inches of the high density foam and raised it 6 inches because it was like to be hunched over would just kill my back.
I bet.
These are all custom heights.
Yeah, but it works good. I love your setup with those new racks.
The new racks with the drawers, they hide everything else, and they're high enough. But 108 paints to a rack for Vallejo and 87 for GW is just really, really good.
All right,
Jack, have a good day at work, buddy. Then there's that would be to my left.
Look at that. Got some shelves up there with some unpainted miniatures on it.
Yeah, and then above this shelf is another shelf that has all of my my apothecary jars with all my bases in them.
Oh, perfect.
I've got 12 apothecary jars across the top.
Just regular round square bases?
Round and square bases, sorted by size.
I have a banker box full of bases off to my left. That's down. It's just all bases.
Yeah. So I got that. And then what's next? Then this is moving farther to my left.
There's all your apothecaries.
Yeah. There's all the jars.
Yeah. Look at that. You got one of the IKEA boxes up there. I love those IKEA boxes.
Oh, here?
Yeah, I love those.
You gave me that one.
Did I? Yeah.
That's the one you gave me.
I got 3 of them. That's where I keep my paints now. I just put them in those. Like, I got them all, like, one of them is skin tones, blues, yellow, oranges, washes, metallics. I just have them all labeled. And
yeah, every one of these boxes you see here is actually the lid. And there's built models inside of them of future projects I want to get done.
What I need to get for you is I need to get you a baker's rack with baker sheets on it, the baker trays.
Ooh.
That way you can just slide them in. You can just pull the tray right out and just say, all right, I'm working on this project. And then when you're done, you can just put the tray right back in. And then you could just clear up a lot of your stuff because you could just have like a organized.
Well, I had today, when we're done with the show, my first couple hours are going to be straightening up this area here for this other table.
Is that a table, like a plastic folding table?
That's a plastic folding table.
Okay.
And then this shelf here. You know, you get those cabinets that fit over your bathroom toilet?
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Oh, that's ingenious.
Yeah. And the table goes right up into it, and then I use underneath for storage.
And then is that your toolbox from the shop?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What they say? The upstairs took the longest unpack. Been working on the basement space for a year, and the dozen projects upstairs have finished to live in. Yeah, yeah. There's always projects.
It takes forever.
Yeah.
And then this is to my right and behind me. So
there's your glass cabinet. That's the cabinet you keep. Is that the GW cabinet or is
that's
that
the GW cabinet? The guys got me for when I left GW. That was my gift from my sales team. It's one of the old. It's basically at the time that's the one Games Workshop used in their stores.
Right.
And then here's where I stage all my commission work. I made these little shelves. So there's there's like 8 trays.
So that's your baker's rack I was talking about.
That's the baker's rack, basically.
You slide them in and out.
This is where I airbrush.
Right.
So.
And you got more paints on the wall there. That's a Vallejo paint?
Here?
Yeah, or is that?
That's the Vallejo metallics.
Yeah, great.
Airbrush metallics.
Great.
And all my airbrushing supplies and bits are all up here.
So. Love it. Just love it.
And then back to your project.
So this is a miniature company called Next Level Gaming, or Next Level Miniatures. This was a hobgoblin. I picked it up to possibly use it in Warhammer Quest as an orc with bow, but it's a little too small. But I painted it up anyways because it is a Orctober, and I wanted to paint something green. So
something orky.
I painted orc, and then in the background you can see all my Dungeon Saga bits and bobs for Dungeon Saga because they had you can buy their terrain crates, and all that terrain can be used in Dungeon Saga to replace the cardboard. Right. But I put it all on, as you can see, like the sarcophagus and the barrels. I got a bunch of the movement trays from GW. The old Warhammer Fantasy movement tray. Yeah. One side is scaled for 20 mil. The other side scaled for 25 mil, which work perfectly on the Dungeon Saga board. So that way I could magnetize the bottoms and store them all in one of my banker boxes with a metal sheet.
There you go.
So, but there's all the doors.
Yep, they look great. The doors look fantastic.
Avalon Sunset for the win, baby.
Yeah, it's good color.
Yeah, it gives it that nice. It gives brown just that nice toned down, worn look.
Really kind of softens that to a nice, worn, weathered look.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, love it. So that was a little project I did for Dungeon Saga, but somebody else went a little overboard and painted a whole bunch of stuff for Dungeon. I love that barbarian. That is the one model that has gotten the most criticism for Dungeon Saga.
Why?
Because the way that axe is sticking straight out, you can't really position his facing, and it always gets in the way. Good morning, Heron. Not long time no see. You can't, because it sticks straight out and it gets in the way of everything. Like if he's fighting, facing's important in Dungeon Saga, just like a lot of games. And you can't put a model in front of him. So people want to criticize shit.
First world problems, man.
Yeah. I think I might just chop his arms and change the positioning of it just to see if it can be done, just to kind of shut down that argument. It's like, well, if you just knew anything about modeling, you could just fix it, and here you go. here's it's fixed. Yep. But yeah, it's a cool model. Look at them all. Love it. Just love it.
These are the last 9 heroes I did to wrap up the project.
Yeah.
I love this dwarf.
He came out good. I like his beard. It's kind of got a little red tint to it, but it's kind of blondish. I love it. I love it. Ugh. I don't know. I think that's the assassin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's the rogue type character.
Yeah, look at that.
That's the monk.
Yep. It is time for you to leave.
I'm happy with how they came out based on what quality he wanted done.
Right.
But I'm still not happy with them because I just had a hard time going, okay, that's done. So I'm going, So.
It's not your standard. Like you paint to a standard, and I'm assuming whoever this person is, they just wanted color on the models to put them on the board to make it look more appealing to play.
It will look good on the table when he plays. That was the goal.
Well, and I like how you used a lot of bright colors. If you haven't played Dungeon Saga, I don't know if he sent you all the cardboard components, but the board's pretty bright. Like the board has a lot of bright colors used in it. So these are actually going to pop out really nicely on the board, especially since you left the bases black.
Yep.
They'll just stand out so much nicer. Great little model. Mannix got some. They do pretty good with some of this. This like board game quality miniatures. Very nice.
And this is the hardest part of the whole project.
Finding their spots in the box.
Some of them were easy.
Yeah.
Some of them were very hard.
Yeah. Especially because not all like those. Some of them go in upside down and sideways. It's like
These 3 models were the last 3 I had because I couldn't find a home for them.
Right.
So I literally had to go back through and retry everything
to
until I
figure it
found
out.
them and got them moved around. So
that's why
these 3 models were originally in these 3 spaces, and that was where they went. And then I finally got to put those as that completed. But I love the trays; they're fantastic. But that is how the models are held in the boxes.
So Manic did a really good job with the foam, the vacuum foam trays because they don't snap in. They're just resting, and they got a lid.
No, they're snug. They don't snap in place, but I can turn that tray upside down and nothing falls out.
Well, some of the games that I like, Song of Ice and Fire, like some of those models, like you have to pull, like really snap. They really snap in.
Yeah, these are actually nice and snug. There's a couple that are hard, like some of the heroes,
right,
aren't in there too tight, but they're hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, you can't
pull them out easily. But this is everything for that. They're all done, all ready to go.
A place for everything and everything in its place.
But yeah, for storage purposes, they're fantastic.
Yeah, and you could, if you really like, if it was something that you had a challenge with, as far as finding a place to putting them back in, you could label the vacuum foam, and if you're really that, I am just magnetizing all of mine with because if you looked at the bottom of the base, you probably realize it's not a very thick gap to put a rare earth magnet. I just went on eBay and found some really thin rare earth magnets and glued them on, and they're fine.
Right.
I'm just magnetizing them and putting them on a tray in a box. Yeah. That way I don't have to worry as much about putting them back in. And that way I can get rid of the big box.
It was really odd, the sense of accomplishment I got as I finished models, got them sealed, let them set for overnight for everything to kind of harden up. And then putting them in the tray was kind of like really oddly satisfying. Because that meant I had them done, and it was kind of my progress bar. Like, oh, we're almost, we got a third of the tray.
It's like you're playing a video game and you're progressing. It's like
it was weird.
Look, color, because that's what progress bars usually are. There's some sort of color or something like that. You're just watching your progress.
It was really weird. It was really weird.
And then when you finish a whole tray and you put the lid on it, and then you got to pull out a blank tray, like. You gotta start all over again. So
thanks, David.
Yeah, I'm really digging that. And you got the dice tray, so life is good there.
Yep. We're all sorted out there. So
yeah, I had fun making that dice tray.
And like I said, while I was working on those, I was working on 2 other projects, but we're actually a higher level of paint quality. So these got done quicker, and I'll be wrapping up the other 2 this week and next.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Anything? But you're also working on your project.
Well, one of the things I try to do to keep myself from getting completely burnt out is between, like, I just finished that project, so I give myself a couple of days to kind of work on my own stuff.
Right.
So I'm working on another addition to my wolf spear, which is this repulsor. And then, like, after today, actually probably I'll work on a couple more hours, then I'll switch back to commission work. And then next, when I get that next project done, I'll take a little bit more time on it.
Right. And unfortunately, all my painting is shifting to just my commission work, simply because of the narrow window that I have to get it done.
Yep.
So I am a very slow painter. I am not someone that paints fast. And then I still have all these other things in life that I have to do on top of that. So that's going to consume a lot of my time. And unfortunately, I can't show you anything on my commission job until
Nope, I get it.
It launches, but everybody probably can figure out who I'm painting for if they've watched the show for any length of time. I only do commission work for one company.
Well, next week I'm going to do a compare and contrast on Chaos Dwarf Blood Bowl teams.
Ooh, this should be interesting.
I got the new Blood Bowl team from GW, and I'm going to compare it to my Punga Blood Bowl, Chaos Dwarf Blood Bowl team, and let you know my thoughts.
Okay. And you haven't ordered the Forge World Bull Centaur?
No, I didn't. They're out of the Bull Centaurs are out of stock.
Okay.
They'll notify me when they come in, and I'm going to be ordering the 2 star players soon. So.
If Mike is a slow painter, then I'm a glacier painter. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, the new Chaos Blood Bowl team doesn't come with Bull Centaurs, though.
It does not.
It's just Hobgoblins and
it's your Hobgoblins, your Dwarf Blockers, and your the Fire Breathers.
Okay.
And then the others, the balls and the coin and the turn markers.
I wonder. I understand business wise probably why they didn't put the Bull Centaur in the plastic box set, but it would have been nice to.
Yeah, it would have been nice because in the previous team when they did back in the metal days, you got 1 Bull Centaur.
The metal.
So 1 or 2, you may have gotten 2.
Yeah, but
now,
I
like the rules. I like the way the rules break down. I like the new skill set. I like the look of the new models as far as how the costumes and the suit are designed. But there's some interesting things I want to kind of bring out between when I compare the 2.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward to the comparison. I have not picked up the new Chaos Blood Bowl team. I plan to pick up, not to paint it, just to have it, because I already have a Chaos Blood Bowl team. Which I am very much in love with that I painted up for. I don't think I played my Chaos Blood Bowl team in the Grumble Bowl. I think again, Blood Bowl is just one of those games where it's like, I'm just going to paint a team. Like it's 12 models or 16 models, depending on if you fully, because isn't 16 the max you can have on a team roster?
16, yeah. 16 is your max.
So it's just something that you can just paint up okayly. For me, it takes about a month and a half to 2 months to paint a 16-team army team because I'm not glacier, but I am slow. But with global warming, hey, maybe you're going to start speeding up, David. Sorry. But yeah, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, cool.
Anything else going on?
No, that's about it. Oh, well, otherwise, I'm waiting to get back my truck today from getting the transmission put in it. So, yeah. Other than that, nothing.
Iron Man repulsor. Rim shot, ducks and runs. Yeah, you should duck and run after that comment. Iron Man repulsor. That's funny. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and cut out. Don't have nothing big planned today, but I'm going to start slapping some paint on some miniatures.
Cool.
Get some stuff going. And till next week, I guess.
Yeah. I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere.
Manic process. Yeah, I guess. So for the most part, you were glacier, but you have those moments.
David, let me know when you want to chat about my site. Yeah, I'm today or tomorrow. Just let me know what's going on.
All right.
Shoot me an IM or something, buddy.
All right. All good?
Cool.
All right, everybody. We're going to cut out of here. We will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat. Can I say that legally or would we get banned? I don't know. I said it anyways.
We haven't been in Facebook jail in a while. So.
All right. We'll be back next week, everybody. Talk to you later.